Okay. Oh, wow, that's a good start, isn't it? Welcome to the after show, Not So Christian Brothers. And this is where we dissect ourselves into small little bits from last Thursday's podcast. I'm Colm Hayes, and my brother is Justin Caffrey, and we are brothers. And we have the same parents, apparently. Still waiting for the tests to come in.
You do look very different, I often think.
Yeah, we do actually look quite different. Yeah. Well, if people are watching this on YouTube or wherever, Justin's angle makes him look quite
Powerful.
wrinkled.
Powerful.
Oh, sorry, powerful. I went wrinkled.
Look, you made
Yeah.
him embarrassed now. You're such an asshole.
No, I'm just trying
He's
to
checking his wrinkles.
get the wrinkles back.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should get some of those injections. What is it called?
Botox.
Botox.
No. I was thinking about Bollocks.
Same parents, different timelines, and united by chaos. Strap on, strap in, for the not-so-Christian brothers.
Interesting show on Thursday. As usual, you went a bit off-piste there, but we were talking about the protest. We'll kind of wrap up on that because I want to talk about the moon.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay.
And I want to talk about Justin. I want to get into the Justin stuff. But I was just thinking about, like, the Banana Republic comment, because people will just throw that around, but it's a derogatory term for a small, politically unstable country with an economy dependent on a single export, which at that time was bananas.
Oh,
So
yes,
Banana
of course. Yeah.
We're I do agree with Justin on the fact that, like, you can't meet everyone with their asks and needs just because they take to the streets with their bras off or they bring their tractor up, and we can joke about it. But at the same time,
Fairness, if they all went to the streets with their bras off, we'd probably be way more willing to give up a lot.
not those lads. No.
Are you saying the farmers are wearing bras?
No.
But we're not a country with a single export. We're now this tech giant. Like, we still are. We're now
We are a single export. We export tax, and what we import is large form of direct investment. And what do we do with that? We waste it. So look at the
What
guy.
do you mean we export tax? We export food as well.
Yeah, but principally, our biggest export is our tax. So our tax system, we're a service provider. We basically might as well just export bananas. We don't really have any real major industry. Without these tech companies, without these banks, without these pharma companies, we're in deep doggies doo-doo. If you go back to our tax receipts in 2012 versus now, our economy was non-existent without them. So it would be good if we actually took all that money and did something with it. But actually, what do? We waste it. And there's plenty of reports. I mean, the EU has shown us to be the most incapable country in the 26 or 27 member states to actually execute on any infrastructure plan. So we don't develop our housing. We don't develop our rail system. You can't get a train from an airport. We can't organize. I mean, the M50 was built for an economy that doesn't exist. The lanes are tiny. We need more roads.
Okay, well, I just came back from a third world country where obviously, let's be honest, South Africa, corruption, rife, like massive issues with poverty, squalor, people living with. But the irony, I met a woman who had just come back from Australia, and I was talking to her about my trip and how we miss the sun and it's hard living here and it's expensive. And she goes, but things just work in Australia. They get done. And I was thinking, things just work in South Africa and they get done. And like, there's so many issues there. Like, there really is with healthcare. And like I said, people living in locations all over South Africa. But what is the problem with Ireland? Things not getting done and no change. And so when you said, Justin, on the episode on Thursday, people, we can't just give up because people protest. What else can we do as civilians who are voting these fuckers in? Like, what else can we do, except take to the streets?
Are we saying that Ireland is a broke nation, as in it's broken? I mean, I know Ireland is broke. I don't think so. I mean, okay.
I'm in my early 40s.
Hang on a second.
Kids. I feel it at the moment.
Okay, but we found a way of making money, right? And if that's by having a sort of coattail economy where we encourage in the farmers and we encourage pharma and we encourage in the tech companies and we have all these databases. I mean, they're not all going to run away tomorrow. I mean, Trump even tried that and none of them have really moved out. I mean, we don't. I mean, okay, we can only export X amount of butter, or Guinness or whatever it is. And for a country our size, we are punching way above our weight. Now, I do agree that maybe when the money comes in, we're not spending it right. And that's because we're fecked up with coalition governments. I mean, if we can get a majority government in, then they can actually move into doing more positives, I believe. I think when you're in a coalition and you have an awful lot of independents, TDs who would never join a party and are just basically lucky to be voted in by a bunch of people down in one particular town and one particular county, and they seem to have the power to change things, like the DUP did for years. They held up the Conservative government and everything that went wrong. So
I see you're back to wanting Sinn Féin in power again, Colm.
No, I'm not a Sinn Féin supporter. No, absolutely not. No.
I'm not saying broken that we're heading into recession. I'm not even going down.
I think our political system is broken. I don't think we're broken.
100%. I don't think it's that we're on the ground and we're in the breadline in the country. I think we're broken in where we stand politically, and you're correct about that being down to this messy coalition, this random infrastructure. But I also think it's like this dependency on these greats that come in, the people that are spending the high tax. But then it's like, what? We had a brain drain years ago, pre-COVID, and in the recession to Australia, all our wonderful medics and our nurses and our teachers, everyone went, right? What is drawing people here? What is the actual thing that we can hook our hat on? Because it's no longer our butter or our farming, or it really isn't. So what are we? Like, I feel like it's a bit of a fraud on St. Patrick's Day. And I think I said it. We're like, oh, yay, Ireland. What are we? Like, what is our identity? And I think we've lost it. So when I say we're broken, I'm like, I don't know what we are.
Okay. If you say, sorry, can I pose one question? If you say we've lost our identity, and I hear this all the time, oh, we're no longer Irish or whatever, we've lost our identity. Well, then tell me what our identity was.
This isn't about races or immigration.
No, I understand.
I love that, right?
I understand that, but when I hear we've lost our identity, or we've lost
I think we're pseudo everything. We're trying to be European. There's a falsity there.
But we are European. But we are European.
But we were never wealthy, and then we're trying to be that and keep up with the Joneses. Then we're kind of like there's this mad right-wing kind of pull now. Then we have these rural communities that are completely isolated still in one of the richest countries in Europe. I just think, what the hell are we? Why aren't we helping others in this country? And why are we so lost? I think.
But what you've said there reminds me of what they're saying in France at the moment. It's what they're saying in Hungary at the moment. What they're saying in parts of Germany at the moment. I mean, I think countries are always fractionalized and broken, and like it's like to make America great again, as people say. When was it great? Was it when we had slavery? Is when the black population had absolutely no civil rights? Was it when we were in a war in Southeast Asia and we lost?
I think the Make America Great thing is about wealth. He just wants it to be like there's a booming economy. I don't really look into it.
I understand that.
You know what I mean?
I'm just trying to get when if we're broke, or if we've lost our identity, or if we're going to make America great again, as he says over there. Okay, let's just look at Ireland.
Well, okay, but let's look at Ireland. Like, if you look at Ireland, and that's really what we're talking about here. Yeah. Right? So we have a problem because we don't invest in our infrastructure. We continuously fail to invest in our infrastructure. As a consequence, eventually people stop wanting to come here. So I do think that for young, experienced, capable foreigners who are thinking about coming to live in Ireland, the story's not compelling, right? First of all, the weather's crap, right? Can't do anything about that, unfortunately.
Can't really, not yet.
Well, eventually you probably can, but right now you can't. But then we have really bad infrastructure. We've got no kind of decent public transport. We've got really bad roads. Our housing is atrocious. Our cost of living is off the scale. So it does smack of Banana Republic, and Bob Geldof was one of the first people to call us a Banana Republic, and we've continued.
That was 1980.
I know, but I think we've continued to be that way, and I think back to the political situation, I think proportional representation is broken. I think you need to have first past the post to actually get a strong government in. That doesn't necessarily make for good reading for everybody, but unless we sort our stuff out, like, I don't think this is a compelling story for people to want to stay or invest in this country longer term, and that's what we have to fix.
You raised a son, Justin, in the what, noughties?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was born in
Colm, you raised kids in the 90s. No, later. What was it?
Well, no. Alex was born in 93. Holly was 99.
I was born in 83, so I was brought up in kind of late 80s, 90s, noughties. And maybe it's this romanticizing of childhood. And I know there was imperfections post 80s Ireland, and I know nothing was perfect then. However, raising my kids now in this country, and it's something I question a lot, whether it's the right place to raise them, I don't think it's the place for them to have a childhood. I look back at my childhood and there was a freedom. People were kind. There was definitely more community feeling, neighborhood. There was less obsession about what goes on in schools and parents getting involved. There was less mollycoddling, snowflake helicopter parenting. There was a freedom. There was, I think, a lot of joy. I think you could get live your life in a different way. I think politics, it never served us perfectly. As we know, it was pretty corrupt in Ireland then. We had all those issues at the time. But I look at our country now and I don't know who we are or what we are as people. And this has got nothing to do with immigration. It's actually more to do with who are we? And have we lost a lot of the people who've left our COVID, our struggle with that, our isolation with that, to where we are now? And it's an interesting, I think it's a broader conversation, but it's like, are we kind of in this limbo of like, I don't know what the fuck we are?
But I mean, I go back further, and then when I was like coming out of school, or even before that, like the mid-70s, Ireland was bleak. I mean, beyond bleak. I mean, I think if you look back, I think we were like 33% unemployment with young people. There were no existent jobs in Ireland, unless you wanted to go in with your dad, or you wanted a trade, or you wanted to work in a factory. There was nowhere. There was nothing like setting up your own company. Nobody did that. That was like unheard of. You might go to Cadbury's, you might go to Guinness, you might go to something like that. Or where did you go? Which is in the case of my class, you went away and it wasn't to go away to do 2 years in Australia and to come back because you knew there was some sort of job in tech or whatever. It was to get the feck out of Ireland, because the chances are you were never going to work. I mean, there was men in their 50s who'd never worked ever. The gangs on the street, the heroin that came in, the criminality that came in. Where we grew up, up in Ballymun, the IRA came in and they started kneecapping drug dealers, and we all heard about that. Like the IRA, a terrorist group, was taking the law into its own hands because it had completely collapsed and everything was so bleak. There was no money around. The airport, nobody flew into Ireland for a weekend. Like, it was like everyone flew out of Ireland. Nobody came in. There was no, I remember Temple Bar when it was a series of warehouses that was just junkies everywhere.
So am I wrong?
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's this whole thing about, do you remember when it was great? It wasn't. Dublin and Ireland in the 70s was so bleak. I thought about getting out as well, So I think it's a different sort of Ireland now, but I don't think the Ireland that I grew up in, Jesus, if that was here now, we would be Albania. Okay. Think Albania. Except they've got better weather.
But I think, we do have a situation, though, where people have got more money now, but as a consequence, they have more debt. They're not actually that much more further forward. And I always think as well, like, this will upset a lot of people.
Oh, go for it.
But I think as Irish people, we have to actually accept that we are just really a bunch of...
Oh, Jesus. Crash helmets on. A bunch of...
Oh, we're just a bunch of itinerants, right?
Oh, here we go.
We are a nation of itinerants. Like we were persecuted for 700 years. We were doffing our caps to the Brits for all that time. We've no history of building anything of substance for ourselves. We were dependent on this at the time, America. Superpower, right? To decide what we could or couldn't do. And I do think that as a consequence, it takes an awful long time for a nation to grow up to the point where we're able to manage money, manage our economy, manage all these things. And 100 years is not a long time in the history of a nation. So, I think there's an immaturity from a societal perspective, and we haven't helped people understand how to manage their money better, how to manage themselves better. Like, I still think that the Celtic Tiger came and went, but I think people are still borrowing an awful lot of money now, and they still are trying to keep up with the Joneses. So, we do kind of bring a bit of this onto ourselves, but equally, we're in an economy where it's hard. Like, it is hard. It's hard for people to pay their bills. It's hard for people to to get enough money to deal with what they need. And as a consequence, then they think, well, it must have been better in the past. And yeah, it was crap in the 70s and 80s and 90s, but maybe it's just crap all the time. Maybe that's the reality.
I think I sort of do. I think there's crap everywhere. I think whatever.
Can we next week come up with a plan to fix Ireland? Like, do you have a plan, lads? I'll get some hats printed.
But
we need a fucking plan.
I do.
You're both just saying it's crap, and like
no. I think Justin's right. Whatever era you're in is crap, right? So there's crap in whatever era. I mean, in my era when it was the bank managers and the religion lorded over society, we realised how fecked that up was when we realised what the priests were up to and then what the banks were up to in 2008. So the two pillars of community that were really we kneeled before just collapsed, completely. But I mean, now, as you say, Justin, in this particular, when we're so reliant on international investment and all those major companies, and there is stuff we have terrible housing, absolutely appalling housing, and I totally agree. The infrastructure, you can go to a tiny little city, which I was in over the weekend last weekend, tiny little city in a tiny little island in the Mediterranean, and they have a metro system from the airport to the centre of the city, and you're thinking, Jesus, if they can do that, and that was there since the 70s apparently, if they can do that, why can't we do? So I do believe that we're at a position where we do have the money to invest properly in the infrastructure, but until, and I agree with proportional representation, until we get a situation, a clear majority of a government, we're just like water going down the plug hole all the time, We're just swirling around.
We can't build a train. We can't build a kids' hospital.
Oh my God, we can't build a kids' hospital.
Jesus, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
650 million, and now it's going to come in at 2.6 billion. So
can people DM if they agree or if they've any ideas, or
yes,
if we're just
absolutely,
because I do think we need a few people who listen and watch. Don't just sit by now and watch this and be like, oh, interesting. What do you think? I don't think we're being negative. I think we're being realistic. And I think it's interesting to hear the lads' perspectives over my perspective. And maybe it's because I'm raising small kids in a country, as Justin just said, that is, very heightened inflation levels. So the cost of living is hard. And maybe that's just reality for a lot of people around the world. Do you know what I mean? But I'm going to think a lot about the Gabor Mate kind of way of living and Justin's way that like life just hits you hard. And sometimes you just got to smack it in the willy.
Smack it back.
Or smack it back, or something.
Smack it back all the time. I mean, if you think about it, the poster boy for the Children's Hospital, somebody said to me that the kid that was used in the original when they were turning over the first, whatever it is now 34 and has his own kids.
Oh, that's so sweet for him.
It is so sweet. Yeah, well, at least he knows he'll be first in the queue.
He's so hot.
I think you're right. Of all the things that we talk about in infrastructure and investment and how we've got it wrong, absolutely, the National Children's Hospital is the most ridiculous and biggest waste of money, and there's no excuse for whatever. And everybody who's been involved in it should be just fired and never allowed. They should never allowed to be handled change.
And that's our social tip this week. Thank you for that.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Allegedly, we're not against everybody who's involved.
Allegedly, Melania isn't.
No, that was Thursday. You don't have to say allegedly on Thursday because
we're all sex. Okay.
So that was the after show, Not So Christian Brothers. Please, we'd love to get your DMs if you think you can solve everything, because we don't. And so it's Justin Caffrey, my brother, Colm Hayes, myself, Not So Christian Brothers. Please like, subscribe, and send us your money.